Hello, everyone, and good morning. So I had to get myself situated. Got myself situated. I was trying to get on here since 5:45 this morning, and I guess the devil just wanted to show its face. So had to handle that. So now we're back. Okay. So the reason what kind of called me to be out here this early in the morning um, is a situation that happened yesterday, as well as a situation that's happening as I'm making my changes. So, for a lot of you who don't know, my name is Audrey Codner, and I am the owner of ACG Math Tutoring, as well as this new venture that I'm adding to my existence, which is the You Can Tutor mentorship. So it's not so much a membership, but is really for those that are coming in, that are educators aficionados, that are, mentees, that people that just love to teach, to educate, to grow, and to help our society go from one level to the next. And the best thing, hey, how are you? Um, the base out probably put all the weight right back on a podcast. And I was like, oh, okay, nothing new. And then he was in front of me. Then you got that look when you forget to get something. So he was just like kind of rolled his eyes, left out of the line. And I could have easily taken my stuff and put it on the conveyor belt and just kept going with my life. But something just told me to wait. So as I waited, I was all of a sudden he came back and he started to line himself behind me. And I'm like, no, go back in front. No problem. He was like, no, no, no. I'm like, no, go ahead and go in front. And then he turned to me, he said, yeah, the reason why I'm doing this is because I have to get this ream of paper in order for me to print things out for my students. And I was like, you're a teacher. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, yeah, I was a teacher as well for 22 years. Right away, he's turned to me and he said, what are you doing now? I'm in this classroom for 7 years and I don't know what's going to happen. And right away, we started having a small conversation. I told him I'm an online math tutor. And he's like, oh, what company do you work for? It's like, I know someone that did like VIP kids. And I don't think I want to be up at 4:30 in the morning, teaching kids. And I'm like, well, you don't have to because I don't do any of those corporations or any of those platforms. I do my own thing. And he was like, oh. And I'm like, hey, here's my phone number because I usually carry around cards with my, handy dandy wallet. Yes, for people that know me, this is a huge step up. Like I used to have cards wrapped with a rubber band and then, tossed into my bag because I just do not do pocketbooks. And just because he had that load of excitement that I have someone that I can talk to about possible next steps. And then that kinda triggered me a little bit. Not in a negative sense, like in a sense of there's a sense of urgency, Audrey. Because for months, I have been working on this You Can Tutor segment for a while, to the point that I even developed a new YouTube channel. And I also developed a channel on TikTok. But for some reason, all of a sudden, I can't go live on there. I don't know. I have over 1,000 followers in there. But it just seems like there's a lot of our educators, especially now we've got the change of voices, that we're going to have to take a deeper look at how we're teaching our kids. And then plus there's a lot of educators that it just seems like everything is being piled on and piled on and piled on to a lot of people, and they're not sure like what to do next. And it quickly reminded me of what I went through when I was in the classroom each and every day at the last place that I taught. And it's not like the kids were horrible. Everybody will always say that, kids are kids. You just need to straighten them out and, just really kind of give them some kind of guidance. But then when it really comes down to it, I was miserable and I couldn't figure out the reason why. And then I realized, It's all the meetings. It's as soon as I get into the building, I have loads of emails. And most of those emails were sent 10 minutes prior to my arrival. And it all requires me to pull this up to what's the tracking of this, how are kids doing this, and all this other stuff. And especially for me, I was a math teacher. I am a math teacher. And with me being a math teacher, we're one of those tested areas, one of two, math and English. And I felt like every time I turned around, I was always in special ed meetings. I was always called down because I was one of those highly effective teachers. I was one of those people that had like their packets of paper ready, all their data was completely up to date. I actually talked to the parents prior, but then I still had to sit through the meetings. I still had to sit, even though it didn't pertain to me, I still had to sit through all the changes that one day the district wants you to do this. The next week, they're going to change it and say, okay, forget that. We want you to do this. And I just got tired of seeing kids being tossed from room to room. Whereas I was that classroom where people didn't, when they had a kid that they didn't know how to handle, I was like, bring them. Let me go. Take them to me. Just, yeah, just give me your kid. Just give me your kid. And then all of a sudden, a week later, people will say, wow, that that kid is not the same kid. And I think the reason why I treat my students with respect. And I have major pride with helping my students achieve, basically getting over a barrier. Because if you really take a look, there's a lot of great tutors out there, and I spoke to one yesterday. Amazing. Miss Evelyn, amazing on Impact Math 19. Definitely reach out, take a look at her stuff. Like I'm slowly gonna get myself into the groove of being live quite often. And it's just a matter of it's not like I'm doing this business just to get money. I'm doing this to help people get over their fear. Everyone has a fear of mathematics because of your earlier experience. Your early experience really just kind of puts you on this pedestal. Because when I learned math when I was a kid, I hated math. Fractions, no. Word problems, hell no. I'm not doing that. I was like, and then when you look at what these kids are learning now, that used to be advanced stuff when I was younger. And it seems like everything is happening so quickly. And then as we as teachers, we have to be the ones that have to adapt and have to change and have to set it up. And we have to do our research and then try to figure out, okay, how do they want me to teach this? Because one minute you want me to teach it this way, the next minute, no, that's not the way. We got to do it this way. And then you have some teachers that are like, my way is the only way. Like you invented math. Like you didn't invent math. But it just seems like while we're in the classroom, we're constantly working. And it's great to have those teacher appreciation weeks, but it's not enough. So I had to, on my journey, had to figure out a way how to advance. I still love to teach, but I want to have a life that I can enjoy, that I can have that financial freedom, that I can have my time back. Why do I have to call somebody to ask them to watch my classroom so I can go to the bathroom? Because in between classes, they're not thinking that, hey, sometimes teachers need a little break in between classes just as much as the students need a break to time out, to refocus. But then here's the thing, we have to understand that education is not designed for feeling. It's designed to push, to either put people into one span or to another span, into one ream, into another ream. But no matter what, we all have to learn to think outside the box. But we have to understand what the box is made out of in order to think outside that said box. So for me, I just got tired of crying every morning. Every single solitary morning. I got tired of crying every morning. I got tired of sitting in countless meetings, which could have been an email, and countless emails that could have been a quick meeting. But then when the pandemic hit, things changed. And I know there's a lot of teachers that are back into the classroom right here and now. And was saying things changed a lot quicker. As soon as we came back into the classroom, if you haven't noticed, your curriculum has gotten so vast, and the kids have to learn really quickly. And guess what? Their brain is not designed for that. Because of that hiccup called the pandemic, because of that hiccup and how kids were learning and how they were able to sit on their couch and have their pajamas on and maybe even just do some hands-on stuff that they were doing at home. And then now you ask them to come back into the classroom. And now you're like, they don't know how to sit still. They didn't know how to sit still before the pandemic. What do you think it was going to look like after? And now the curriculum is going so much faster, so much advanced. It's like there's a lot of kids that got a C in Algebra 1 during the pandemic, and now they're placed in honors math classes, and they're like, what am I doing here? Because you got a C in a standard class. Not only the curriculum's going faster, they're putting kids in more, and there's a lot of kids that are misplaced because they got a C or higher. And now they're in advanced math classes. Their teachers are used to having advanced kids, and now they're just like, these kids are not gelling, and then they're struggling, and before they know it, they're calling me. They're calling my friend Joanne. They're calling Annette. They're calling Anitza. They're calling a lot of my friends that are tutors to give some kind of assistance and some clearance. And it's not because the kids don't have the mental capacity to handle it. It's more so that they just need time to process it. We're not giving kids time to process stuff. But because the curriculum is the way it is, the years of the teachers designing the test is long gone. Now the districts are doing their tests because there's a program that they can easily pay for that generates the test, and they don't have to worry about hiring someone to maintain all that because they can just print out what's part of the program. Because if you ever notice, take a moment to look at your kids' stuff. And I bet you the way that they're being taught and the way that they're being assessed is two separate entities. Take a look at their stuff. But the reason why I'm here is to kind of show that you as teachers, as educators, that you don't have to be in the classroom if you don't want to be. You can still teach, you can still educate. That's why I named it You Can Tutor. Where in the States you do not have to be certified in order to teach or in order to tutor. Let me clarify that. So it's great that you are a certified teacher because they're showing that you know what's going to happen next and you can prepare the students so much easier. But then, with that lack of knowledge, you're going to have to gain some more information if you want to tutor. It's always good to know what the kids are working with, but then also it's great to know what the possible next steps are. So I designed You Can Tutor kind of in selfish reasons. One, I wish I had this when I was doing it. Now, You Can Tutor is really for, I wanted to push it to like female math enthusiasts, people that want to tutor math. Because if you notice, a lot of the tutors nowadays are math because the curriculum of math is going a lot more deeper and faster. So a lot of our kids, and especially if some of you guys are parents and you notice that your child's homework is nothing compared to what you had when you were in school, you're right. You're not going crazy. All of a sudden, the way that they're doing things is completely different from what is actually what actually how you learned it. So that's understandable. So when you get this person that wants to be a tutor, they're the person that's going to be translating what's happening in the classroom in a way that your child is going to be able to understand. That's the whole premise of it. That's why we do this. I love to tutor because I get to not only tutor people in my state of Maryland, I get to tutor kids throughout the United States, as well as Cairo and as well as Nairobi, Kenya. That was my first international student, and I this particular college, and he did. And I'm so proud. The fact not only that I was a part of it, he allowed me to be a part of that. And we still communicate on social media. And he still supports me on social media, which is awesome. So when it comes down to, I don't want to be in the classroom anymore, what are my options? You can tutor to basically take those funds to help support whatever your passion is. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we only got one life. One life. And right now, I feel like we're putting our life in other people's hands. Like we're waiting for someone else to do it for us. And that's not happening. Let me just get down to the nitty gritty. Maybe it's the sports person in me, just in case, shameless plug. Uh, but when it comes down to life, you got to go after it. It's just me and God right now. That's it. Like I'm currently divorced. I am moving on with life. I want my kids, I want my students, I've always been that mama bear type person. I want my students to advance. I want them to say, hey, here's a barrier, let's break through it. Here's a barrier, let's figure out what's going on, what's it made out of, and then let's break through it. Because we're not being fearful. I instill that in myself as well as I instill that in my students. I have student athletes. I have drama enthusiasts. I have international people that are doing um, modeling and acting. And there's a couple people that are hockey players. And there is, yeah, I'm not going to do all that kind of stuff. There is also like hockey players. There are some people that are semi-pro athletes, like literally on the soon to be the women's PGA tour. I take pride in that. And for them to entrust me with their education to build up their confidence, especially with math. And it's not hereditary, people. I know there's a lot of people who say, oh, yeah, math is hereditary. No, it's not. So when it comes to you can tutor, you can run your own tutoring business. You do not have to be a part of a third party. You don't have to be a part of a third party whatsoever. You can do your own tutoring business. So let me tell you, the first thing, obviously, you have to have some kind of internet. You need to have a computer working type thing. You need to have either a blackboard. You can do Zoom because Zoom has a whiteboard that's attached to it. Now, when you get onto this, you just need to communicate with people what you're doing. You don't necessarily have to have your niche down. And this is the hard part. You have to give yourself time. Okay, you have to give yourself time when you're developing your program. So when you're looking at your tutoring business, you really need to take at least 1 year. I know I said this, 1 year. Use it and do it as a hobby. And this is the one thing that I wish someone told me earlier. You want to make sure that this is something that you want to do. Anything that you're thinking about doing, any kind of change that you're about to do, you want to test the waters. And one of the things that I like to do for my tutoring is before people make any kind of investment, let's do like a small session. Let's do a free session. See if we're going to vibe. If we don't vibe, why are we wasting our time? Because I know there's a lot of parents that wants the tutoring and the kids are like, oh, I don't think I need it. And then all of a sudden you're dragging information out of them. I don't want to drag. I don't drag. Okay. I always want to make sure that we're pretty vibing. And then once we vibe, then we talk about next steps. Then we talk about how I can help you, how I can help develop you, how I can basically give you more encouragement. Because the knowledge is there. You just needed to have some time for it to marinate. So with You Can Tutor, it's not a program. It's more of a mentorship. And this is something that I've always wanted as an educator. Because years ago, we used to have like those teacher mentors that will come and say, okay, for teachers that are in the first year and the third year, all the way up to, all the way up to the third year, we'll help you. Okay, what do you need for your lesson plans? Okay, you're going to be observed. Okay, what do you need for the observation? All right, how are you handling your classes? Okay, you're saying your class is a little out of control, especially after lunch. Okay, let me give you some suggestions. Okay, let me hear from you. What is it that you need? And I believe that that same mentality needs to carry over as you're making some kind of transition. So as we ask kids to go to the guidance counselor to help them with their transition before they graduate high school, we're doing the same exact thing. Oh, all of a sudden I got this feather. Hey, God, how you doing? Um, so all of a sudden, it seems like we as adults, we need help with our transition as well. So we may look at towards music, towards poetry, towards the Bible, whatever we want to feel that connection with. But as we're making a transition from educator, being told what to do, being a martyr, really having that, okay, we need to put this other kid in your classroom because this other teacher can't handle him and I think you can handle him. And all of a sudden you got 41 students in your classroom and then your other teachers got 20. And your 41 students in your classroom are doing very well. They're advancing. You have kids in there all of a sudden getting A's that they never gotten A's before. But I want to take that and help carry that motivation, that drive into your tutoring business. Because when you're tutoring, it's really you. So if you are here, go ahead and just hit the likes if you want to. You can go ahead and subscribe if you want to, because I'm really going to be driving and you're going to see a lot of me because I feel like this is important. And if it moved me to talk to you at like 6:19 in the morning, I know there's a couple people that popped in and popped out. But when it comes to it, you really want to make sure it's something that you are going to love doing. And I do. This is year 5 for me. And I love it. I love being able to tutor my kids in Alaska. Like like last week it was freezing cold here in Maryland. And they're like, "Yeah, we're at 40 degrees and the snow is melting and it's causing floods." And I'm just like, "But it's 9 degrees here." Like I'm not ready for that life. When did we flip-flop? Like no, we're not doing that. Fix it. Just fix it. So of course they laugh at me. They're like, "Oh man, it's never that cold." But because I could have those communication, I can have me. I'm sharing me with my students. I'm sharing my personality. I'm sharing my abilities, my expertise. When their teacher is going on a certain way, I'm able to say, this is why. your teacher chose to do this way? And I can explain it. And then they'll be like, oh, so if I do this, will this happen? I'm like, well, let's try it. And if it works, it works. Why didn't it work? So I can actually have those conversations while helping them with their homework, while doing test prep. And at the same time, I'm also I might be the only person that says, how are you? How was your day? I might be the only person that asks them that question all day because I do have kids that they're home before their parents are. And then we have all these talks and conversations. So the one thing I really want to preach is I don't want to take teachers away from their current situation. Let's just clarify that. I'm just trying to say that there is a better way of growing yourself. Of basically, I love teaching. I spent a lot of time studying it. I actually have a degree in it. I have a bachelor's and a master's in it. So why does teaching feel like babysitting at times? And that's when it started that I had to go. But I was looking up what were some of the careers that I can do. And yeah, I could have been an education consultant. But at that time, 5 years ago, I didn't feel like being a consultant. I wanted to teach. I want to educate. I want to reach out to my students. But in order for me to do that, I had to put it in a different place. I had to be in a different mindset. So then when I looked up and I saw a whole bunch of things I can do, and online tutoring was like number 7 of this crazy list that I saw. Something that, a high school kid would do that, was just really smart in math. Further research, and I'm looking at different programs, and I've been involved in programs and they were great and it helped get me started. But the one thing that was missing in a lot of those programs was that mentorship. Like I was missing that piece of, I want you to walk me through what I envision my tutoring business to be. I don't want you to be a mini version of me. Not at all. I want you to basically say, hey, Audrey, I really want my business to be like this, but I'm not sure how to get from here to here. And then I can guide you up that. So if you're thinking about doing online tutoring, even if you're just like, you know what, I'm really good at reading and reading comprehension, or hey, I definitely know I can take this AP Lit and be able to break down concepts to kids that are going to take the AP test. Or, hey, I would love to be able to help a kid get into their high school of their choice because they're trying to get into a private sector, or they're going into this prestigious parochial school and they just have to pass all these things. Whatever your thing is, for me, it was math. And you just want some assistance in going from point A to point B, make sure you reach out to me. And I know right now, deep in my heart, a lot of people have been following me because I am a female math tutor. There are a lot of us, but to be female, African American, black math tutor, it just seems like there's not a lot of us, but there is. You just have to reach out and just look and maybe do a search on Instagram or do a search on any of the platforms and then reach out and talk to people. I talked to Miss Evelyn yesterday. It was amazing. I felt like I was talking to my twin because a lot of the things that she wants to do is like what I'm currently putting into place. And a lot of the things that I want to do, she already has into place. So the fact that we were able to kind of communicate and be able to talk things out with each other is just amazing. But I know there's a lot of people that's afraid to make that step, is afraid to make that commitment because I don't mind talking to people, but I'm going to hold some stuff back because I don't want them to have all my secrets. Guys, there's how many billions of people on this planet? You can't service 1% of them. If you can get 30 students individual on your schedule, you're doing phenomenal. Right now, I got 21, and then I have 5 to possibly 6 kids that pops in here and there. Okay, so that's like, let's say 27 students on my roster, and I'm packed. But if anyone asks me, like, hey, Audrey, do you have room for one more? I was like, hey, if this kid's not there, this kid no one comes in, you got that slot, right? Hey, Sarah. So it just seems to me like when we're doing all of this stuff with the You Can Tutor, you need to do collaboration. You need to, in order for you to survive, you cannot do it by yourself. Just like we're asking our students, you can't just learn by yourself. You need other people to give you other ideas. Oh, thank you. To give you ideas, to like basically bounce ideas off each other. Brainstorming. Why are people afraid to do brainstorming? Because I don't want you to steal my ideas. Most of the ideas is going to come from how you're going to get your clients. The clients that you're going to get is probably not going to be the same clients I'm going to get because we're two different people. It has nothing to do with race. It's just like we're just two different people. So when it comes down to your tutoring business, it's hard for you to get a program because that program is only going to give you the basic, the foundation. But then they're going to charge you more in order to get it more individualized. But then you're still going to be talking in groups. So when's the individual part going to come in? That's where I differ. That's what I excel in. I love talking to people and actually brainstorming and coming up with ideas. You know, a lot of people will be like, I really want to get my videos out there, but I don't know how to get it, but I want to do this book and I want to do this camp and I want to do this and that. And I'm like, it'll just be a simple thing like use a QR code. And they're like, what? I'm like, just use a QR code. Go ahead and put it in. And they're like, oh. But if you didn't have another person that knows and understands where you're going and what you want to do, how are you going to move forward? Because then all of a sudden you're going to keep going and going and going. And then you're like, I feel like I'm not going anywhere. You're going to feel that way. The more and more you keep putting stuff out there and you're not talking to the people, the more and more you're going to feel like you're lost and you're wasting your time. And next thing you know, you're going to go back into the classroom, which I had a friend of mine did go back to the classroom and it put her ass back into the freaking hospital because of the stress, because of the atmosphere. And that's one thing that I never understood. Like anytime I went to the doctors when I had like a weird feeling, they never ask you, what do you do for work? Because if the doctors just asked me what I did and I told them I'm a high school teacher, they're like, oh, you need a break. That's what you need. Forget these pills, water pills, that pill, this pill, blah, 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 blah. No, you don't need all that. You just need a break because you're in a high stress situation. And people don't see teachers as being in a high stress situation because they think teachers, you get your summers off. But yeah, that's the summer. And here's the thing, good teachers never take the summers off. They're always learning something. They're always thinking of some ideas. They're always on Pinterest trying to figure out how they can make their classroom as gorgeous as it is in that Pinterest magazine. Okay, we're always thinking of something new and alive and welcoming, right? We're never shutting this off. We're always thinking, we're always processing. We might be on a beach while we're doing it, but we're always thinking, we're always processing. So it never, so when it comes to trying to make those changes, Um, I always want to say you can tutor. You can tutor, help you in the meantime. You can tutor part time. You can tutor full time. You might want to take a look because every state is different. There are some states, especially in the United States, that would say you can't tutor and teach at the same time. Obviously, you're not going to tutor your own students. Let's think about it, people, right? You're not going to tutor your own students. You could probably get with your professional development buddy, because we all have that professional development buddy, and tell them, like, hey, I'm thinking about tutoring. Do you have any kids that needs any assistance? That's one. Another way, you can talk to the guidance counselor. They have friends that are guidance counselors. There's Facebook groups for guidance counselors. They can do some promoting for you as well because they know what type of teacher you are. So that's another one. You can talk to PTAs or PTSOs, I think this was called now, to see who's in charge of community affairs and pass your flyer out to them so they can talk to other parents. And because it doesn't have to be just on parent groups on Facebook, you could talk to your friends and family and ask them, give them a flyer and ask them to share your information with their social media platforms. So when it comes down to it, you don't have to join a third party. You're only going to get maybe 60, sometimes 70%, if that's a lot, for those third party plans. So like, your thumbtacks, your oh gosh, like any other places that they have any kind of third party, you're paying somebody for them to pay you to tutor. I see people advertising on LinkedIn. I don't know why. And they'll say, "Oh, we'll give you like 25 to $35 an hour." I make a lot more than that. But the reason why, I show my value. I show my value. You're getting a teacher that's a master, highly effective teacher that still loves to teach, that can break down concepts. All it takes is just one child. If you can really just pull in one child and break down concepts and see that child soar, see their confidence improve. Everyone's always asking, like, how do you know that the kid, like the tutoring is working? You'll see it. You'll see it. You will actually see the transition right in front of your eyes. You'll see their confidence go up. You see that their grades are going up. You hear that, oh, I did well on this test, or I love this. I did okay, but I want to do better. When I hear that, you're doing better. Even on Sunday, one of my kids was just like, yeah, she was really foggy with mental math. And then we were doing some mental math thing and she was on it. Ooh, it felt so good. And I was like, look at you. You're on this mental math thing. She's like, I learned from the best. And I love that because we can kid, but at the same time, we're getting stuff done. And I don't know if it's because I used to be a former athlete and I just have like, hey, let's just get it done. But we can have fun, but we need to get it done. And I always have that mentality. But now I'm taking that, all those things from the classroom, and I'm mixing it and putting it in a way that my students can take from it and grow from it. And once I get that one student doing well, now they're ambassadors for me. They're going around and saying, "Oh, you need help with that? You need to get with Miss Codner. You need to get with Miss Audrey. She knows her stuff." I was like, "Oh, that's not even that. It's the parents. It's this person. It's that person. It's a lot of people up and talking." That's what you want. Because when I hear a lot of people saying, "Hey, I want to tutor elementary school age kids because that means I will have them longer." Why would you want to have somebody longer? My goal is for my people to be independent learners. I want them to grow. I want them to get up and go and apply and have fun. Let me help you get past that barrier, and then you go and you grow. Awesome. Because that's all I want. That's all I want for people. But again, having that mindset. And if you're a type of person that's like, well, is it going to be the same money that I'm making as a teacher? It's up to you. How hard do you want to hustle? How hard do you want to get things done? Because if you're not willing to work and you're not willing to apply, then don't do it. I'll tell you off the bat. That's why, like you can go on my ACG math tutoring, you can go to the link in my bio, and you can actually see some of the stuff that I'm doing. And you can sign up for whatever you want to sign up for. If you want to have a small chat, we can have a small chat. You can just message me and then we'll arrange for a small chat. I love to do that. If you have questions, you have a person right here that is willing to answer them. But you got to want to take that first step. And especially this time of year, I always see a lot of adults saying, I want to go back and get my GED. I want to go into the military, so I need to pass that ASVAB test. And I'm like, okay, when are you going to take the test? And they said, oh, next month. So basically, you want to learn a whole year of algebra in a month, and you haven't taken the test before. You need to give yourself time because you're going to get frustrated after week 1. So when I'm doing all these, I'm looking at it from a tutor's perspective, from an educator's perspective. I'm not here to rip people off. I'm here to help you with your next steps. You want to tutor? You want to know how to tutor? You want to know how to get started? It's as simple as telling everybody what you're doing. I just saved you thousands of dollars right there. Tell everybody what you're doing. So that means you need to sit down, take out a piece of paper, a pencil, because hey, we all make mistakes. Not a problem. You see the end of this pencil? Made a lot of mistakes last week, all right? It was really high in advance the other day. I can't even grab another pencil just to give you a little comparison. Okay, here we go. Okay, the beginning of the week, it looked like this. See that? Here we are, Tuesday. Because we all make mistakes. And what we can do, we can erase it, we can adjust it, we can learn from it. And that's something that you want to tell your students. So, okay, I don't want to say working at the school was a mistake. No, I met a lot of incredible people. I had great administrators at some schools. I had some really crappy ones at some other schools. I had some people that were definitely afraid of the parents. I had some people who were great support in front of the parents. And it motivated me to be a better person. It motivated me to be a better teacher. But now I can take that motivation and I can take that sense of pride and I can make it my own business. Because when I'm in the education system as a teacher, I'm helping somebody else get their pockets thick. Now it's my time. Now it's my energy. Now it's my effort. Now I see, because now I wish I could turn my camera so you could see like how packed. I'm just getting ready for February because this is the last week of January. And I'm just looking at my schedule for February, and I have 2 to possibly 4 slots open. The reason why I say possibly, because I know I have a couple kids that usually pop in and pop out because they just need me here and there. All right, not a problem. But this is what I do. And I usually expand or advance in end of February, beginning of March, because everything goes in waves. Because over the Christmas holiday, yeah, no one's tutoring. No. But you got to learn to adjust for that. So I just wanted to come on, and I feel like I'm going to come on for usually about like an hour. I'm going to try to get here at like 5:45 if the devil can just leave me alone. Just for 5 seconds, though. Just for 5 seconds. All right. So I'm thinking about coming on like maybe twice a week, and I will definitely figure out my schedule. I'm thinking about like Tuesdays and Fridays at 5:30 in the morning, since I'm up anyway. And then I'm going to be promoting a lot of things, a lot of steps with my ACG math tutoring by actually showing you guys some math problems and breaking things down. So, like, if you're thinking about, maybe you're having trouble with a particular concept in math, reach out. Hey, Audrey, can you do a video about blank? Not a problem. Because I tutor from Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, starting to do a little bit more with trig because there's some schools have like trig as a separate course. And then all of a sudden, pre-calculus and AP pre-calculus. Where did that AP pre-calculus come from? Don't know, but I'm tutoring it. It's a doozy. But calculus, AP Calc, AP Stat, that's not me. I got a guy. I got a guy. So if you need assistance with that, you can reach out and say, hey, Audrey, who's your guy? Because this is not worth it, right? And we all want to have that. We all want to, hey, Lynette, we all want to have some kind of assistance. And that's why I'm saying what you can tutor, I can help you get started. I can help you build. But at the same time, I'm here for that mentorship. I really want you to understand what you're really going to see. I'm not going to give you any fluff. We're not going to have any fluff whatsoever. I want you to see and to understand what you're doing as a tutor. I don't want you to fall into the pits of depths of debt and all kinds of stuff that I went through my first couple of years. First year, I had 4 students all together. And every time the parents would say, do you want to get paid? Because I was so used to just teaching. And then I didn't have a system, a sound system on how to collect payments, a sound system, how to assess if this is a right fit for me. I was just taking on whatever I could take on. And I was struggling because I only had 4 students. Then I started thinking, I went to a couple other programs, and I liked the programs that I went on. Some of them was garbage, but some of them was actually beneficial. But there was always something missing. And that one thing that was missing was that mentorship. Like, I have friends, I've developed a lot of people, but I felt like every time I went to talk to somebody, next thing you know, I was taking over the conversation and giving them suggestions. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I needed some suggestions. I needed someone that could see my vision, help me with my vision, not for the vision of the group. Help me with my vision and just tell me what will be a good first step, what would be a good second step, and just take it from there. That's and plus being a math tutor, there's always so many reading tutors, there's so many language tutors, there's so many accountant tutors, and there's so many. I have a friend of mine, friend Lynette, I'm not sure if she's still here, that she's doing teaching people mathematics with the abacus. Remember the abacus? You're probably like, what the hell is that? Every time, if you type as a text message math, it's always like this little icon comes up with little beads and everything. Yeah, that's abacus. She teaches people how to do math, especially younger kids, how to do math. Doing it's an art form. I'm like, she's gonna blow up, so you better get her now before she goes completely off the rails. But we actually have conversations like every 2 weeks now. We have conversations about how to build our businesses because now we've kind of like got to the point where, yes, we're tutoring, we got, but now we're trying to advance. And how does that look? And it feels so good to have someone that you can brainstorm with. It feels good that you can have someone that says, you know what, that's kind of weird, but go ahead and give it a try. And then when you come back, you're like, you know what? It was weird, but it seems to be working here. So if I tweak this, let's see how to do that. And it's fun. It's great to like brainstorm with somebody and be able to push the envelope. But when you're by yourself, tutoring is like you're going from, all right, I had a department. We had a math department. You have a science department. You have other people that taught Algebra 1. So say there was like 4 different classes of Algebra 1. So it's 4 different teachers sometimes. And you can bounce ideas off of, or you can have one person do the quiz for this week, another person did the quiz for the next week, and we had a system. And then once in a while, okay, I can do the test, or hey, this person did the test, and then we had somebody. But when you go from being really busy with other people to no man's land, population 1, it's hard. And especially you're in a way that it's not the content that really gets in the way. It's that business and that mindset. You know how many times I kept thinking that I was an imposter? Like, do you know what the definition of imposter is? I have it always on my wall and I always listen to it or I always read it. It's a person who pretends to be someone else in order to deceive others, especially for fraudulent gain. So I'll say this again. The definition of an imposter is a person who pretends to be someone else in order to deceive others, especially for fraudulent gain. And I know when I tutor and I'm charging somebody a price, I'm not trying to be a fraud. I'm not trying to deceive you. I am providing a service that is alleviating stress from the parent and from the child. And I'm helping them to build up their confidence and really clear up the nonsense that's going on in the brain. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Because here's my thing. When I grew up, I said the same thing to myself. I can't do this math. This is crazy. Why is there letters and numbers? Like, what is this? No one helped me with that transition. Just like no one helped me with my transition, I had to seek that help with that transition. So knowing that, what makes it any different when you leave the classroom to now being a party of one with something that you truly believe can be beneficial, not only for yourself, but for others? You are providing a service. And it's hard for people that are service people because it's easy for me to say, oh, okay, I have a binder clip. Yay. I can put a price on a binder clip. I have a calculator. I can put a price on a calculator, right? Same thing with the pencil, with the full eraser. I can put a price on that. But it's really hard to put a price on a service. Once the service is out, it's out. I can't get that back. Like, okay, the pencil didn't work. Oh, I tried to write with the pencil and nothing came out. All right, you can send it back. Oh, the calculator I had, even with the batteries, all of a sudden, like, there's certain keys that's really stuck, and all of a sudden there's some keys that's missing. Okay, you can send it back. Binder clip. We get the idea. You can send it back. But for once you give a service, you can't get that back. You can't say, all right, all that stuff that you just learned about that math, get that back to me. Can't do that. So that's why it's like when you put out a price, you have your systems in place, one, you have that even exchange. So these are a lot of the things. I could go into it very deep, but I don't want to get into deep because the reason why I have a tendency to give so much, which is fine. But then if I give it to you all in one lump sum, you ain't gonna remember it. And then you ain't gonna want to learn from me anymore. But one thing that you really definitely need to know is that you don't have to go through the pain of being in the classroom. If you want to stay part-time, if you want to go part-time, do what you got to do. I don't know your finances, but all I know is when I said I used to teach and he whipped his head around quickly. Okay, for those that missed out, I was at the grocery store yesterday. There was a guy that was getting a ream of paper, and then he was like, "Oh, I had to make all these copies because if I ask for paper, I'm going to get yelled at." And I've been at a school where I had to supply my own paper. Like people, you don't understand. There are some schools that are telling the teachers that here's your ream of paper. This needs to last the whole entire year. And they're like, oh no, they don't. I'm like, okay, you can call me a liar, but I know what I experienced. And I have the receipts from Walmart because I used to get like the little containers of like 5 reams. And I used to buy like 2 boxes of those 5 ream papers so I could have paper for of the month. That's how much paper we use. Because a lot of the books, a lot of the textbooks, sometimes the internet connection doesn't work in the classroom. Whew, multiple times of that happening. Sometimes I had to go through and jump through so many hoops just to make things work in my classroom. I would love to do a fun activity online, but guess what? The internet's down because it's windy outside. That happens. So now I don't have to worry about the weather. I'm in my house. I have my internet. I have a computer. And for the most part, I also have my writing pad. Okay. Just get one from Amazon. I got like one that's 5x7. You don't need the big mama jama. You just need something to write with. So I can do my equations. So I can do my expressions. So I can show the kids the coloring and all this other stuff that I need to do. And I just need to tell everybody what I'm doing. And I think you can tutor if you have that drive and that determination to want to improve yourself. I think you can tutor can help you. So I'm going to wrap up because it is almost, my time to go. Only wanted to be on here for about an hour. But I am going to try to get here at 5:45. I will be making an announcement. I'm only going to come on twice a week to talk about You Can Tutor. And the other times there's going to be like roughly like Monday through Friday. I'm going to try to do more math problems. So if you're a person that's thinking about getting your GED, your ASVAT, your Accuplacer, or even if you just like need certain concepts, like, okay, you're probably stuck on a homework assignment, like, Audrey, I just don't get systems of equations. I can come on. I'm going to do a couple videos here and there and then I'm going to come on live so you can see step by step how to do it. And I'm going to try to make it as consistent as I can because I know for especially when you're first starting out or even if you've been in it for a minute, it is hard to be consistent because life keeps on lifing. But by having that dedication and that time, hopefully that will show you guys that I'm serious about this. I want you to advance. I want you to do well. And I want you to feel comfortable enough for you to go after what you want. So if it is GED, if it is just a pass, if you do have a child or maybe it's you that is taking those courses so you can actually graduate. Like maybe you missed an Algebra 1 course and now you got to do it online. And you're doing either Alex or Apex or not iReady. Ugh, I know we don't like iReady, but here we go. If you're doing something on Schoology or any of those resources, Delta Math, go ahead and reach out. I'm more than willing to break those concepts down, but at the same time, I also have my online tutoring business. So You Can Tutor is a way to go if you're thinking about starting your own tutoring business. But if you do need assistance with math in particular, go ahead and go to acgmathtutoring.com. You can do a research on it and you can get all the information that you need on how to get me as a tutor. You can also get the message that's in my link. The link is in my bio, actually, and we can take it home from there. All right. So have an amazing day. Continue to be the awesome people that you are. And I will see you guys on the flip side. All right. I will see you live here, possibly.